This is going to be a really light talk for all you guys who contribute or are concerned about how are we keeping the quality on Singularity. And I'm going to be pretty straight, and so you guys can enjoy your breakfast while watching this talk. So this is a kind of update on the state of how are we testing Singularity and what are we thinking and what are our concerns when testing every PR, every community contribution. And I really want to thank everyone that's here that has submitted an issue or a PR or a bug report on Singularity. That's what got me here, really pushing for Singularity quality. So as you can see on this picture, we moved to Go, and that brought some issues to the testing infrastructure on Singularity, so I'm going to be talking about this today. So some challenges that we had by moving to Go and some goods and wrongs before getting into the testing side is we adopted a CGO interface, so we are still using C code, so not all Singularity is made in Go. The security bits, some runtime portions are written in Go and C, and Go is mostly the interface for interacting with all the things that we interface with. So that's making it hard to test because we are doing a lot of forks between the Go processes and the C processes inside Singularity. We are following Go standards, so for those that contributes to Singularity can tell that we are following how a Go standard project does packaging, handles the internal folder versus the external folder, so other packages can import code from Singularity, not having to rewrite code just to interact with Singularity. So that's making it easier for third-party applications, let's say like Lico from Lenovo, may not be written in Go, but at some point they can start just importing packages from Singularity. We are vendoring everything in the repo, so you can just do a clean git clone and start building Singularity without external dependencies. So that's a good thing from Go. And packaging, yesterday in my super fast tutorial, I talked about the tool Make-It. So before Singularity 2.x, it was a C project, and it was really complicated to build, and Auto Tools really help us trying to kind of building that infrastructure and doing the make file. And Go is kind of easier, so we thought that it was going to over-engineering using Auto Tools for a Go project, so we go and an engineer design make it so it's easier just to build a make file for us. Right now, and thanks for community contributions, you can have RPMs built with that make file. So you can do mconfig and from there build a RPM package. We are working towards a dev package. Jason, if you're hearing this, eyes on you. People are really, really looking forward at dev package so they can start playing on Debian and Ubuntu hosts. Some wins from moving to Go and that are making our life easier. By moving to Go, we are now interacting with Kubernetes, with OCI, with a lot of packages that are out there that as Singularity, we are just importing their external packages in Go and using them from Singularity. And as we always say, we are moving towards integration versus isolation. So moving to Go is helping us to integrate with a lot of third-party tools. And this is why we are here presenting a lot of new tools and new features because it's super easy to just import packages from third-party tools and integrate them with Singularity. The concurrency model in Go, so as I'm going to show in the next slide, is really easy to handle concurrency and threads via Go threads. So this is making the code cleaner, and this is making, for us, the developers, really easier to do some threads inside the code without the complicated C way of doing threads. Uh, and again, Go is easy for learning for new developers. So if someone is afraid contributing to Singularity because we move it to Go, is really if you know C and maybe you have read Python, writing Go is super straight, easy. So this slide is the architectural runtime of Singularity. So this is how we are jumping back and forward between the Go code and the C code. And this is making our life in the QA side and the testing side really hard. But I just want you to know this slide. If you want a deep dive of how are we jumping from the Go fork and the C fork, please look at Michael Bauer. This is a really high level way of looking at the runtime of Singularity. The deep down has a lot of boxes. I really could have a lot of boxes just to fit in one slide. But I just want you to know that we are going from a Go CLI calling a C wrapper, and that C wrapper is handling a lot of threads, and it goes back to the Go code for 1 bit and then jump back to the C code. So in that way, we are making Singularity more secure. So again, there's Michael Bauer if you're gonna ask some question about it or whatever, but you can do it on the break. So I just want to show this slide so you see how we're jumping back and forward between C and Go and how that is helping us to keep Singularity more secure. But on the testing side, which is my work, is making my life hard because it's really hard to track threads from a testing infrastructure. So looking back, how was 2.x? Some point around 2.2 up. We are using Travis, and we were using Travis, and really we had some like 10 or 12 bash scripts that tested every PR, and every bash script is like 10 lines long, so it's not that deep dive testing, and they just go through Travis, and Travis is happy or Travis is angry, and that's all you can tell from the test infrastructure in 2.x. Again, thanks to the community contribution, we were also testing the RPM and dead packaging through Travis, but that was all bash scripting and 12 bash scripts with 10 lines of code. So it's not a broad testing infrastructure. So we kind of have bugs that some cool PR from the open source contribution added a new feature, but underneath that feature broke something, and we just tell about 1 month after that. So this is being enhanced on the 3.x. So what's 3.x testing infrastructure? The first thing that I want you guys to see, this point, no, is that small screenshot that I had there, which are the underscore test.go. So we are doing now unit testing inside Singularity. So every file on Singularity is being tested via unit testing thanks to Go. So not just end-to-end testing like the 2.x was doing with bash scripts calling Singularity, but we are doing internal testing to each function inside Singularity. So we are moving to unit testing. And this morning I checked, and we have 70 files named underscore test go. So we are doing a broad unit testing in Singularity. We are now using Travis and Circle CI. So we are using Travis to test the RPM packaging, and we are using Circle CI to do bed testing, lean testing, check packaging testing, vendor testing, unit testing, and end-to-end testing. So the testing is getting bigger on the 3.x. So every time you do a PR, and it's a happy PR, you are going to see this, happy Travis and a happy Circle CI. If not, you're going to see a lot of X and red colors everywhere. This is how it looks if you click here on details and at GitHub. So we are doing parallel execution of the test infrastructure of the testing on Singularity 3.x, which is making it faster because Travis is taking something around 50 minutes to 20 minutes, depending on how the network is that day. So users are not happy having to wait 20 minutes to check if their PR is good or if they need to rework on their PR before asking the admins to check the code on that PR. So Travis is taking something around 12 minutes, depending on the network that day. It can take 10 minutes, 9 minutes. And this is how it looks through CodeCI today. The roadmap, so you can see it's a clean picture. We are moving away from Travis. We are going all in with CI. So the roadmap of the testing infrastructure and Singularity is going to be moving all the functionality of the RPM testing into the CI parallel testing. So probably you're going to see a new box here that is going to say RPM testing or something like that. Don't call names right now. And there's an open PI right now that we are reviewing with the users that is proposing an end-to-end test suite that really points to the slide that I showed, the architectural design of Singularity. So I'm trying to use the Go tooling, the Go standard packaging tooling to really follow all the threads that Singularity spread when doing a run. And this PR is introducing that, so we are going to introduce an end-to-end test framework that will use Go to track all the Singularity code while doing a run, while doing a exec, while doing a shell. So that is going to make the code coverage and the test coverage really more enhanced, and so you can trust that every release of Singularity has been tested from the unit testing function to all the end-to-end test cases. So we are doing all the corner cases that you can kind of imagine on Singularity via this end-to-end framework, and using the Go tooling packages to track all those threads that Singularity is forking from the architecture. Documentation. We cannot talk about quality assurance without talking about documentation. And as you can see, documentation is really hard, and I really want to do some kudos to Ian Lamb. So thanks to Sylabs that is hiring Ian Lamb, we now have a better documentation that we have in the 2.x version. So the 2.x version was a LBO hosted a web page with some tips on best practices on how to use Singularity. But right now we have a README and how's it called? Sorry, Ian, the Read the Docs. We have a Read the Docs webpage that is really going feature by feature on how can you use Singularity. And we are splitting between admin documentation and user-based documentation. So if you're assistant admin, you just can go and see how is the recommended way of installing Singularity and managing Singularity. And if you are a user, you can go and check how to use every feature of Singularity. Right now, we are working towards the 3.1 documentation. The 3.0 documentation is pretty much complete. We are working towards the 3.1 because, as Dave told yesterday, 3.1 introduced OCI, and that is not being documented. So for users not familiar with OCI, it's going to be really hard to start jumping into Singularity and using OCI without reading that documentation. So this is some place where I wanna call all the users to jump in, and is community testing. So quality assurance and documentation is nothing without users. So testing is okay. I'm all day, every day trying to break Singularity. That's my day job. And I can tell you it's getting hard to break Singularity, but then a new user comes and say, hey, I'm just 3 days new to Singularity and I break it. So we really need users because I'm used to Singularity, so it is getting hard for me to test it because I'm so used to it that my brain doesn't think in the worst way of breaking it. So we really need community testing. We need you guys to break Singularity and pose those issues. And I really thank users here that I do know that they break Singularity on a daily basis and they pose issues, and I really appreciate that. So all the above slides doesn't matter. The community testing is 99% of how you keep quality assurance on an open source project. Again, we're hiring. Thank you. This is a super quick update on how are we keeping the quality on Singularity project. Thank you.
Thanks, Eduardo. Any questions for Eduardo?
Yeah, I know. Quality assurance is boring.
I have a quick question. So anything specific with security-related testing that you do?
Yeah, so we have a test, security underscore test that go on which we change the permissions of the setuid file. We go into root and away from root. We change the binaries of Singularity from folder. We change the permissions of the binaries of Singularity and try to run Singularity and check if Singularity is a screen or not. So that, and also we are trying to break Singularity from inside with security exploits to check if it's secure or not. So that's being done in the security underscore test file that you can find in the repo.
That I'm going to walk.
No, that is not supported yet, Jason. Uh, but well, in Ubuntu, if you just follow the instructions, having Go install and doing a clean git clone from Singularity on your Go pad. Before Singularity 3.2, you need the Go pad. After Singularity 3.2, we are going to move to the Go module, so you don't need the Go pad. But as for now, you need to be on the Go pad, do a clean git clone, and you can start doing mconfig make install. There's no dev package yet, but we are working on it. Oh, yeah, it builds in Ubuntu. So the test infrastructure is in Ubuntu 14.04. So it builds in whatever Debian package. I even tested Singularity on Debian Raspberry Pi. So it builds on whatever Debian supported OS.
Hey, Hey, Eduardo, I just wanted to, since we've got a little bit of time, just make a couple of quick points. First of all, I think with respect to the 3.0 documentation, the user docs are up to date. The admin docs still need a little bit of attention, so we're making some good progress there. And then, as Eduardo said, the 3.1, the dev team's innovating so fast that it's hard to keep up from a documentation perspective, which is interesting. The 3.1 docs, and yeah, actually, that's a great point. That is an equal opportunity situation. Community members are more than welcome. Actually, there are some people here who have already made some great contributions to the documentation in terms of suggestions and so on. So please, you're more than welcome to help pitch in there. I did want to just comment on OCI compliance as well. There's really two elements to it. There are the two main specifications from the Open Containers Initiative, one for the image specification and one for the runtime specification. So in 3.0, we introduced support for the image specification. Okay, so when you pull something like a Docker image from the Docker hub, you actually, that image gets cached in an OCI image format compliant way. Okay? So that came out in 3.0. What Eduardo's also talking about, and Dave mentioned this yesterday, and I think sometimes the two get a little bit blurred and confused. We have in 3.1 compliance with the OCI runtime specification. So that came out in 3.1, documentation pending and so on. So that's introduces a whole new command set in 3.1, basically a meta command with OCI in it. So the two are actually addressing different specifications from the Open Containers Initiative. I hope that clarifies things. Did I do that? Oh, sorry, it's got to go back.
Any more questions? Anyone interested in contributing in Singularity, please feel free to reach to me. And it's not that hard. Thank you.